Hello folks, back with ancient cosmography, and so I've been focusing on this guy. I don't know, I'm gonna call them guys just because our language is so gendered, and I'm pretty sure they're dudes because it's the Gobekli Tepe Stela 43 map operates almost identically to the Egyptian Book of Two Ways map. And in the Book of Two Ways map, all these gods are dudes. I mean, America altogether is a woman in that cosmology, Amentet Neferet, but all the animal gods that make up her constituent parts are dudes. I don't know. Maybe I should just say it and them and whatnot. But so anyway, I figured out finally that its head is Inagua, and I think its eyes in this waterway that goes into Inagua. But I think there's some other details that can be seen. Like I think there's kind of a black line right there. I suspect that's this bay right here, which that's called Morro Bay, or I forget what that's called. But it's a good bay. And then yeah, and then maybe this part here would be here where it sticks up. And then, here it kind of has this peninsula where it dips down. But I also think that here, so basically he's headless in the current times. So this is a before picture. The Gobekli picture is like a before picture before he had his head cut off, because Inagua is actually separate and it's about like right over here-ish, or I don't know, something. Or no, I guess it's right up here-ish. And at a different angle. But I think that even in this before picture, somebody, probably the scorpion, had already tried to cut off his head, and he only got halfway. That's how I'm reading it. That this is, a cut mark on the back of the neck, and that represents like the first cut, but then the second cut was further up and actually succeeded, and that's basically this line right here, I think, is the actual cut that was successful, because it seems to be like here, like more or less similar shape in there. So, and I'm using this image even though it's a little blurrier just because it shows the whole body, because some of the other ones I was using, there's like a stone in the way, so you can't see the tip of the hands or whatever, wings. And it's not clear exactly whether, obviously this is one or both of these. The other one, if it's not just seen as being part of or behind this, it could be like these seamounts underneath here to the south. Could be like this one. Or it could be to the north, and it could include this island and some seamounts around there. Hard to be sure exactly. I mean, certainly this shape where it goes like that seems to begin right here, actually. It's like these kind of waterways and stuff here where it goes up and then down. But anyway, so I'm gonna try to find. So anyway, I think this cut that was the first attempt at beheading him that didn't succeed at first is like this bay or whatever right there. So so yeah, basically this bay right here, it looks similar to that cut. You know, it's a little crooked, so I don't know if that matches. I mean, it kind of matches, at least the entrance to it is kind of crooked. So anyway, it's pretty much correctly placed. So it seems to be called Akul Bay or Asul. I don't know. I'm gonna pronounce it Akul. It's Akul Bay. Baia de la Cool. And it's the Isle of Rats. I don't know if that means the same thing in that language. I guess seems almost like Portuguese. I feel like it should be Spanish, but so anyway, this is a nice bay. Looks kind of like a cut mark. It's very kind of neat, you know, relatively neat, like indent. So, you know, just to show how accurate these things are, that even a lot of the little lines in it are real things, you know, like, yeah, so this line seems to be that bay here. And this line seems to partly be the waterway. I should get some close images of the waterways that are in here. Let's see, this is looking at, well, okay, so this is a possibility for the beak, you know, it has this is the mouth, I guess, right? So even though this makes it look like the entrance is far from the tip, you know, there's at least a chance that, I mean, it could kind of refer to the whole topography here, but there's at least a chance that it actually refers to this coastal waterway along the, you know, along Inagua, and that the reason it's wider on the top part is just because there's this kind of thin little part here and then a wider part here. So again, hard to know. Like a lot of these things are pretty stylized and esoteric, but this, you know, waterway could be was referenced by the mouth. The eye seems to be there. So I think this is the eye right here. It's like a deeper part, I believe, of this overall waterway. Like it's probably deeper here, then gets a little shallow, and then deeper right there where this one is. I'm not sure if it has a specific name for that part of it, but I suspect that's the eye. And this is just a face I found in Greenland, I think. So I was trying to figure out what is the mouth of this guy, because, you know, the South America, I think his body is probably meant to be all of South America, and it could be if they would let us excavate, we would find more underneath. But yeah, certainly his head is Panama, and or specifically Azuero Peninsula in Panama. But he has a very clearly defined mouth, and which, you know, not all of these really do. Like this one, you know, well, I guess, yeah, this one kind of does, but some of them have much better defined mouths than others. This one's pretty well defined, so it should relate to something. And so I did find a river mouth that's right there on the tip, so I think that's what it is. But the weird thing is that that it's not labeled. I can't find any label for this river on the whole internet. You know, this is like again, that's where the red dot is on the tip here. And so there's a river that comes right to there, but it is not labeled. I mean, there's this thing here which says Boca Rio Caldera, but it connects to this thing and it goes, I don't know what that means. But if I Googled Boca Rio Caldera, it doesn't reference anything here. It references another river on the whole opposite side of Panama that doesn't seem to connect to this one. So yeah, if anybody can find out what is the river mouth, you know, that's mouth is near Punta Mala, the evil point or whatever, bad point. You know, it was probably like the holy point for the natives, so of course the Catholics had to call it the evil point. Or it could have just been dangerous area for sailing, or both. So yeah, that seems, and it even seems to be like very beak-like, right on, you know, this, like the overhanging beak and the under beak, which matches the mouth here, because you have an overhanging beak, upper beak, and then a lower beak that comes in like that. So, and it even seems to have a lot, like it has this line, but I even think there's another line, so it's a bit like a crooked, you know, zigzaggy line. So that also, you know, fits with this river that kind of zigzags around. Yeah. So now I just made like a new comparison where I also included this on it, you know, because this is like, this is the southern side of the pillar. This is the western side. The pillar itself is almost it's just west of the northernmost pillar. And yeah, the western side of the pillar shows America. And then as does, I mean, the whole pillar does, but this southern side shows, you know, Alaska and Siberia. And then on the back of the pillar, which is the northern side, it shows like, let's see, basically Arctic Canadian islands. I forget what the name of the islands are, but and I think it shows part of Greenland on that side. But it shows the part of Greenland that's shaped like a dick and balls. So I'm not gonna post that around town just in case. I mean, it's enough that I'm showing this guy with his dick out, but I'll just leave it at that for now, for at least around town posting. Not the giant disembodied dick and balls of Greenland. So yeah, this is like the spider, and I suspect that the, you know, Alaskan Peninsula here is the web of the spider coming out of its butt or whatever. And I'm not sure exactly on here. Could be that this little like mark here represents that. But it's also hard to know if the head of the spider, if the whole spider is just this part of Alaska, or if the spider is this whole thing, and then this is the head, and then these are the two branches of legs that are supposed to come out. Anyway, hard to know, but certainly, you know, here's the cat, which is Chukchi Peninsula and this adjacent part of the land, and then the dog, which is the opposite kind of orientation, like, and its face is Cape Navarin, and its tail, which is not really visible as well on this photo, but I think the tail goes to right here, is you know, Kamchatka Peninsula. And so yeah, at least that's pretty complete. And you know, although it still lacks the disembodied Greenlandic of if I was to be completely complete, which I'll probably try at some point to do. And so yeah, this is Inagua and Hispaniola. Shlamana. See, I think this is mostly a better photo, but it just cuts it off a little bit before the end, which annoys me. And here you have the he whose shape is great in the Egyptian Book of Two Ways, who's also basically the same god, although he seems to also include Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. Because if he didn't include them, I don't think he would have this tail. Like, it's not just a tail, but it's like a big tail that curls, you know, that has this arc shape. So to me, that can only include, that has to include Puerto Rico, and it should include the Virgin Islands too, because that would account for that kind of arc shape if it includes both of those. And so yeah, this, you know, it's not, in both cases, you know, this is not like the perfect, you know, they basically tweak the shape of this a bit to show it, to deify it, but or zoomorphize it, but enough of it is the same to pretty much see what they were doing. You know, the fact that you have this kind of wide lower ear, slightly skinnier upper ear, and then weird bumps on like the top of the head. And yeah, I'm not sure what the eye would be for this one, if it's the same thing in here or something in there, or just stylized. But yeah, so this is, you know, the Chetumal Bay.